Welcome and thank you for taking time out to speak to us today. Can you just tell us how this journey from being a lawyer, where you've practiced both in public and private organization, came about, and here you are running your own consulting firm?
I started my career as a state counsel at the Federal Ministry of Justice and had very interesting postings while I was there. So at some point I started literally as assistant legal advisor in the Ministry of Defense. And that was tough, being a greenhorn and working in the Ministry of Defense.
Wow.
With all the three forces, Air Force, Navy, and Army. But it was quite enlightening, and I got quite a good legal education there, working with the forces. And then I was deployed after that to the International Law Department, Mercantile and Industrial Law Department, Civil Litigation Department. And then at some point I decided, at this point I was about 8 years in the civil service, and I thought I needed to improve myself. And I thought I had gotten as much as I could get out of public service, and I should move to the private sector. And this was when I got the Chevening Scholarship from the British Council, and I did my master's in international business law at the University of Exeter.
Okay.
On coming out, it coincided with the privatization of the broadcast industry. And so I got a job with the Minaj Media Group as company secretary, legal advisor. And I spent about 8 years with Minaj. But in that journey with Minaj as company secretary, legal advisor, at some point, I think halfway through, about 4 years into the job, I decided I wanted to learn broadcasting. I wanted to learn business administration. I wanted to learn about the business of broadcasting as opposed to the legal side. And this was when I went off to the Stanford Business School and did a number of training courses there, strategy, organization. And as I finished, it coincided with when the government licensed only 2 broadcast entities for satellite broadcast, AIT and Minaj. And so at that point, Minaj actually became a global player, really, satellite license. And I went up to the chairman and said to him that I really wanted to expand my horizons, learn the business, even though from scratch or whatever. And I was sent out to the US to start the business there. Now, my 3 years in the US, starting off Minaj Inc., growing to become its COO and then its CEO, I ended up as president of the company, got me very interested in growing Nigerian companies. I saw the amount of leverage small companies have in America, government interventions, the banks are geared to finance and help you succeed. In fact, the entire ecosystem there seems to be geared to help you succeed as a businessman or woman. And I thought, you know what, if Nigerians had 25% of the opportunity that exists in the US, they would do very, very well. Because despite our adversities here, people still struggle to make a success of their business. And so I thought, you know what, I'm coming back home, and I'm going to start my own firm, and I'm going to try and help people succeed.
What has your impact been, being the vice president of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce?
Well, the interesting thing about the Chamber of Commerce is I think my journey to becoming vice president had to do with the fact that I chaired a group called the Professional Practice Group.
Okay.
And this Professional Practice Group, I chaired it for 2 years. I think my impact then, one, was that we began a mentoring program where we mentored business people in Abeokuta Chamber and Ibadan Chamber. And it went very well. It went so well that the Ibadan Chamber decided that they were going to mentor Oyo and Ogbomoso Chambers. We started a lot of programs for business people. And I think this caught the attention of the chamber because a high percentage of new recruits into the chamber were people who had attended PPG programs.
Okay.
So at some point I was asked whether I would be interested in carrying my activities up a level.
All right.
And operating as a vice president. And I said yes, I was ready to run for elections, and I did. So once I became vice president, I was given, as a vice president, you have a portfolio. There's 6 vice presidents in the chamber, and every vice president has a portfolio. So my first portfolio was business, education, services, and training. And this was a unit that was lumbering and limping along and not doing too well. Yet it was meant to be a major income earner for the chamber.
A driving force.
And a driving force too. And so that got turned around within the 4 years that I served as chairman. We designed a mentoring program for young people. The thinking being that chamber is over 100 years old. It would not live for 100 years if it did not have young people coming in. And so if we wanted to live for another 100 or 200 years, we needed to consciously invest in young people. And so to date, the mentoring program is in its 4th year. To date, we have an alumni that's 95 enterprises strong.
Okay.
This year, another 55 will graduate, taking us to 100 and something. This year, we've also succeeded in absorbing the alumni into the Lagos Chamber of Commerce.
That is new.
That is new. All of that is new. We then, secondly, started investing in our companies. We started running training programs for the large corporates, running executive leadership and governance programs abroad. For the SMEs, running training programs here. In a year, we run about 53 training programs in a year. So it's about a program a week. Then at the lower levels, we entered into an MOU with the German Chambers of Commerce.
Okay.
And it was to promote the DVT program, DVT being dual vocational training.
Now, talk to us about TOKI MABOGUNJE & Co. What exactly does this company do?
We're business development consultants. And what that means is that we work with entrepreneurs who want to start their businesses, or businessmen and women who have already started their businesses and have been in business for a while and want to move to the next level. So we do it this way. On the one hand, we work with SMEs.
Okay.
With all their business challenges, their growth challenges, and how to be more successful at what they do. On the other hand, we work with international development partners.
Okay.
World Bank, IFC, DFID, ILO.
What do they bring into this?
Yes. So we work with international development partners because most of them have private sector development departments.
Okay.
This is the department that impacts on the growth of SMEs.
Okay.
So they are usually
building.
There's capacity building. Sometimes there's even access to finance.
Okay.
But there's training, which is a bit different from capacity building. And there's working on the ecosystem, working on the environment to make it better.
Okay.
For businesses generally. We work with a place called the Center for International Private Enterprise, CIPE, and they have a lot of really interesting and very impactful programs. And with them, we've worked in other countries.
Okay.
Outside of Nigeria,
interesting.
Which gives us an even broader view, so we don't just have the Nigerian experience,
so
we have the African experience. Yes.
That is good.
Then on the third level, we work with business member organizations. Now this is where we interact with the likes of Lagos Chamber, NASIMA, MAN, NECA, NEW, yes, and all of them, yes.
How do people get to find out this is what I need for my business? I'm a business owner and I'm like, okay, I've been here for 5 years. How do I identify what is actually wrong, or how do you help me to identify what is wrong or what I'm doing right or what I'm doing wrong, and how do I grow?
Okay, so having all these relationships, particularly with the international development partners, allows us as consultants to stay on top of our game. Right, so we know what's going on all the time. We know what's happening at policy level. We know what the international community is doing or not doing about the situation of creating a better business environment. Now, in terms of how do people reach us, first of all, we have a website, www.tmc.com.ng. When you go onto the website, we have buttons on there. Start. So if you're an entrepreneur just thinking, you have an idea, you hit start, and we have there how you can reach us. We have the contact page, we have a form you fill. Grow is for existing businesses but that are young, maybe 5 years and below. to hit, and then you'll see our range of services. So if you already know what you need, then you send us a request based on what service you think you need. Then you have the other button called Excel. Excel is for those who have been there for quite a while, but they feel they haven't reached the zenith, they haven't reached their full potential. How do we get to the top? And that's for helping those who want to get to the top. In terms of our engagement locally, every time we go to events, we are constantly marketing and so on. So we do get quite a few clients from that.
Okay.
But then, also the thing about being a consultant, and a very good one at that, if I must say, is that you will have referrals. So all of your clients who are really satisfied with what you've done will pass on your name, your details, and your contacts. To go straight to the heart of your question, how do I know what I need? I assure you that most SMEs don't know what they need. Don't know what they need. So it's like going to the doctor. Doctor, I have a headache. Then the doctor says to you, well, we need to do the urine test and the blood test. And so that's what we do. You come and you tell me, yes, and the first thing I do is I do a diagnostic.
What kind of advice would you give to a younger person?
What kind of advice would I give to a younger person?
An entrepreneur.
Well, I think that I wouldn't even try to distinguish because I deal with young people who want to be entrepreneurs and those who want to be managers, because we can't all be entrepreneurs.
Sure.
And the point is, you must first of all have a personal vision. What do you want? Yeah, what do you want? And a lot of them need help with what they want. Why? Because growing up, we've all gotten a little bit mixed up. Maybe a father or a mother who dreamt, for example, of being a lawyer, never quite got there because the family ran out. My daughter must be a lawyer. In fact, she looks like a lawyer. So she's got to be that lawyer that I couldn't be. And so you grow up in a profession that you're doing just because you happen to study, yes, and all of that. So I find that when I speak with them, I have to help them find their true self. Who are you really? What are your interests? What is it that genuinely makes you happy? What do you enjoy doing? Before we go to the conversation of, do I have what it takes to be an entrepreneur?
Yes.
Or would I be better off, in a job and all of that, and distinguishing that. And once they pick those tracks, as someone who wants to be in a job, what are my career goals and objectives? Where would I like to be? What kind of company do I want to work for? What is it that I want to add on to myself at the end of the day, and what is it that I want to add on to the company by working there? All of these very important questions that help these people through life in making major life-changing decisions as they grow.
Let me ask you, taking a look at all you've laid out, you have a team that works with you. How do you assess who fits into your dream of making a successful business entrepreneur? Because you can't do this all by yourself. You must have a team that works with you. So how do you access them? How do you then determine who can be able to deliver what your own goals and objectives are?
It's a problem that I think exists for all SMEs, and I keep telling them that that's clients and associates, business associates and business friends, that the way you recruit is very important. Really, really important. You yourself must have this vision I talked about. You must have articulated your goals, your values, your beliefs, your objectives. And so in the recruitment process is where you identify those who will buy into your vision. So at TMC, for example, when we're hiring, we first of all ask, are they willing to work as consultants? Because you come in as a professional with a particular expertise, but you work as a consultant. Do you know anything about SMEs? Are you willing to learn? Would you like to impact others?
Yeah.
And it takes a kind of passion. So if you want to impact others, I know we want to close at 5 o'clock. If we have to work with a client till 8, I pray we cannot close at 5. If the client says, I only have my Sundays open to run a workshop for my staff, pray we cannot go to church. We have to be at the client's premises. There are all these things that if they're not articulated in the beginning, become challenges when the person comes in. So that's the first thing. So even with our partners, even with our network of experts, we have to go through this process with them of exchanging ideas and determining whether or not they fit in with the vision.
That's interesting. So tell me, what do you see yourself leaving behind as a legacy? So say because I see your hand is very, very full.
Full, yes.
Put yourself left, right, and center. What would you want people to remember you by? Your team, the people you impact the knowledge with, your clients.
Oh, it's interesting. I remember when I was working in the Ministry of Justice, and I was deployed from defense to my first deployment, mercantile law. I had a boss. At that time, because I was in my 20s, so this man maybe was approaching 40. Anyway, he died young. He had been my boss for 2 years or something, and then he died. I was like, my God, I was really devastated. So I went for his funeral service. The letters, they had to, the priest had to carefully select the letters he would read, because there were tons of letters from all over the country about this man. And I sat there as they read. These were just letters that people asked must be read in church. This is apart from the tributes that were read at the graveside. And I said to myself, God, when I die, I want to be like this guy. I want people to say she made a difference. That's what I want.
In your years of working at a senior level and working with the boys, and that means the men, and you find yourself being the only female sitting around them, how have you been able to manage the relationship? Because it's still office politics, but there's a way men react to women, being the only woman amongst them. How have you been able to handle that?
Okay, first I will say it's where it has hit me is what I would call leadership politics.
Yes.
Frankly. And at that level, I think there are a number of things. One, I would advise women in my position not to play to the stereotype. So if the guys are expecting you to be the one to serve the coffee, serve the cookies, serve the food, don't do it. You're an equal player as they are. You're the same kind of person as they are on the team. You all need to be served. The service is to be done. It should be done by someone else. Except, of course, you're being polite and you're serving a friend or something. But don't put yourself in the position of playing to the gallery. 2, learn to play the game with the boys. Yes, you need to learn to play the game with the boys, to understand the dynamics of their relationships with one another so that you can be a part of that. Then I said 3, all men aren't the same. They have different personalities. Okay. So quickly find those who will quickly become your friends and be true to that friendship, so that you have supporters and you have people who are pitching their tent on your side. On your side. When you have to fight your battles, you do have supporters. 4, quickly find out who are the decision makers. You might have 20 men in the group and maybe only 2 or 3 are the decision makers. You need to know how to reach and the influencers. Yes, and the influencers, yes. So those are some of my really quick answers to that question.
What about the issue of honesty? Sometimes men see women as, okay, they talk too much. How are you able to, wouldn't you think that being an executive at that level, you also should be able to hold on to the information that is sitting down there, making them see that you can be trusted?
I think at all times, because I think trust is not something that is developed at leadership level. It's earned. So from get-go, being employed, you have to let people know that you're honest and you're trustworthy. And so let your rise to leadership be based on those principles, so that really by the time you get into leadership, you're not looking to push the perception of honesty, and it's already there. I think in terms of what you talked about, the talking and all of that, I think women need to learn to always have a professional front and always have a professional look, and it has everything to do with the complete package. How you dress, how you speak, what you say,
and how you carry yourself.
How you carry yourself, your language when you're speaking. It's a complete package. So always try to be professional so that they look at you as a professional. Yes, and try to be objective.
Try.
With emotional people, it's a bit difficult for them to be objective, but
that's
yes,
another
try.
thing women have to struggle with, the balance of emotions and the clarity.
And the clarity of this, yes, very true.
We want to say a very big thank you to you.
Thank you too. Thank you so much.
Opportunity to sit down with you, and we also want to wish you the best.
Thank you.
All
Thank
that you're
you.
doing.
I wish you the same.
Thank you so